Y'all see that, I know you did. Y'all get that email I sent you, over there, that roundabout? Yeah. Cool. Right, so then, we get our engineer to do something.
Whoa, man, I'm not touching that. Yeah, I just made that fan come. Imagine that. Oh, my heck. Well, I think he's talking about that. I'm offending you.
About me?
Yeah. Personal
I
attacks.
sent them that pretty picture of that roundabout. I said, that project worked out good. We need to build some more if I can get our engineer to get to work.
We gotta build a football field,
I know it.
baseball field.
Baseball. Baseball project.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna go get us some plans, you know?
I don't know. I check on.
Will you check on that? Have y'all heard from him?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's all right. Sure, I don't know if you're okay.
This will show us.
Live.
You never know.
Rotator cuff?
Yeah.
I said that to Curtis, and Curtis said it is.
Yeah. I think we'll give that. It's like mine, it's like, you gotta call it somewhere. All right, Brandon.
All right, at this time, we will clear my voice. This time, we will call to order the regular session of the Houston County Commission for February 22nd, 2021. We do have a quorum as all commissioners are in attendance with the exception of Commissioner Singfield, who is gainfully recovering. I believe he will be with us next meeting. Can you keep him in your prayers, if you will. Our invocation today will be led by Peter Covert, our Chief Administrative Officer, and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Shute. If you'll all stand.
Will you bow your heads as I pray? Our gracious, dear Heavenly Father, first, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health that each of us need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, for friendship, and most of all, for your grace and forgiveness. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. I pray for our chairman, for each one of our commissioners, and for the various levels of county officials, and in particular, this assembled commission. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our citizenry, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved county. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm gonna say, you may get you a permanent job. Good job. Thank you very much. Thank you for opening our meeting properly and we'll see if Mr. She'll be my assistant. Yeah, he's a professional person. All right, gentlemen, you each received copies of the minutes from the preceding meeting. If there are no corrections, we would entertain a motion. So, motion by Commissioner Harvey. Second by Commissioner Shue. Was that you? Hearing? Oh, I thought that was, I'm not hearing right either. Commissioner Harry. Any additions or changes? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Sorry, you can't say. Okay, announcements. Other than I mentioned about Doug, I don't know that we have any closings, announcements. Yeah, well, I was gonna talk about that momentarily, about our meetings. We continue to ask everyone to stay safe in this COVID time. It is, as I just said to Mr. Harvey, I'm gonna talk about the numbers down a little bit in a moment, but it is still a bad time. We've been impacted here in our county family closely by death and sickness, and we don't want that to continue if possible. So we ask you to continue to wear your mask, continue to, as I look out there, see people without masks on, but continue to do the things you know you should do to help us get beyond this. Any other announcements, anything in your districts we need to be aware of? All right, then we will move on into the agenda. The first item on the agenda is a request to appoint Melanie Hill and reappoint Brad Kimbrough to the Dothan-Houston County Library System Board. Motion to approve. Second. Motion by Commissioner Herring, second by Commissioner Harvey. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, request to authorize finance agreement for budgeted items to backhoes for road and bridge. Motion by Commissioner Shue. Second by Commissioner Herring. Comments or questions? For Reverend Covert? All right, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Passed. Item 3, request to authorize finance agreement for budgeted item crew cab truck for road and bridge. Motion by Commissioner Harvey. Second by Commissioner Shue. Questions, comments? I would mention just for the record that we continue to get an extremely aggressive rate on these items. I think it was 163 on all of them, which is incredibly low. Other comments, questions? All right, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion Passes. Item 4, request to authorize finance agreement for budgeted item lowboy truck for road and bridge.
Motion to approve.
By Commissioner Harry. Second by Commissioner Shute. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, request to approve resolution authorizing purchase, sale, and lease of real property.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Shute. Second by Commissioner Harvey. Little discussion here. We got some feedback and there's been some out there, so I want to talk about it. If it's okay with you all, I'd like to read the resolution. We don't typically do that, but this is a pretty significant purchase, so, and we pay our lawyer a lot to write these resolutions, so I think it'd be appropriate to read the resolution, and then I want to make some comments, and if you all make some comments, and then one yes. The resolution authorizing purchase, sale, and lease of real property. Whereas the Houston County Commission has the authority to purchase real property on behalf of Houston County, Alabama. And whereas Alabama Code 915-100 states, the state, a county, a municipality, any other governmental entity, or any quasi-governmental entity following the purchase of any real property with public funds for any reason shall disclose information concerning the purchase within 60 days following the purchase. If the purchase is tied to a specific economic development project, disclosure is not required until 60 days following the announcement of the project. If the purchase is tied to an acquisition for public utility or public works purposes as a part of a single project or the acquisition of rights-of-ways, disclosure is not required until 60 days following the acquisition of the last parcel of property needed for the particular public utility or public works project or a right-of-way line for which the purchases are made. And whereas the commission has determined that the purchase of certain real property will encourage economic development in the county, benefit the agricultural interests in the county, and aid in the public welfare, prosperity, and benefit. And whereas the commission has determined that certain real property owned by the county is no longer needed for county purposes. And whereas the commission has determined that upon the purchase of that certain property, a portion of the real property will not be immediately needed and may be leased back to the seller. Now therefore, in order to facilitate and advance the above objectives and thereby benefit the citizens of Houston County, be it resolved and ordered by the Houston County Commission as follows. Number 1, the commission authorizes the purchase of that certain real property located at 411 North Foster Street, Dothan, Alabama, 36303, along with the parking lot owned by Five Star Credit Union located at the corner of North Foster Street and East Newton Street in Dothan, Alabama, from Five Star Credit Union on terms and conditions to be agreed to. Number 2, as consideration for that purchase, the commission authorizes financing of all or a portion of the purchase price to be financed by Five Star Credit Union on terms and conditions to be agreed to. Number 3, as consideration for and conditioned upon that purchase, the commission authorizes the conveyance to Five Star Credit Union of Lot 1 of Porter's Market subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 16, page 20, in the office of the Judge of Probate of Houston County. Number 4, as consideration for and conditioned upon that purchase, the commission authorizes the lease back of the area comprising the branch portion of that certain real property located at 411 North Foster Street, Dothan, Alabama, 36303, along with a portion of the parking lot and drive-through access to Five Star Credit Union. Said leaseback shall not occur unless and until the closing of the purchase of that certain real property located at 411 North Foster Street, Dothan, Alabama, 36303, and upon such terms to be agreed to between the parties. Number 5, in order to provide for the above objective, the chairman of the commission is hereby authorized and directed to take the cause to be taken for in the name of and on behalf of the county all other actions and all other things necessary to appropriate to carry into effect the purposes and intent of this resolution adopted this day. That resolution does several things. This has been couched more or less as purchase of 5-star building next to us for the sheriff's department. And certainly that is the major part of this. The sheriff's department currently, I think Mr. Rafferty back there would tell you, is on top of each other. One of the things, was it last year's budget or maybe 2 years ago, they asked was for about more space for the sheriff's department and more jail space that we're not gonna talk about, but we're trying to address that here in a way that not only gives them that space, but it enhances our community also. This building is right at 20,000 square feet. They currently have like 12, 13,000, I think, something like that. So significantly increases the sheriff's department. It includes much more parking than they currently have, parking around the building, but it also includes the parking lot that's right down the street. Some of the comments I've seen, some people didn't recognize that, and it's a secure parking lot that has right at 50 spaces and it's to its own self. So significant parking available for this facility. The building is going to require minimum renovation. We can pretty much move in. That we are going to have to add a little bit for evidence, secure evidence maintaining, but other than that, the facility itself is going to require minimum renovation, and all the furnishings that are and accessories that are in the building are included. I will tell you that the company 5-star, when they moved out to Gander, they spent multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars on furnishings for that new building. So the value of this is significant. The value of the furnishings that we're getting is significant. We feel like, and I talked to a contractor this morning, we feel like if we were to build that building, that space in today's market and furnish it, we'd probably be looking at the $5 million number. We're purchasing this building and the parking and occupying it for $2.2 million. There'll be some additional costs, but roughly in that range. So we feel like to address the sheriff's needs, it is a good and viable answer. Not more importantly, but just as importantly, and what makes this, I think, a good opportunity is this commission's commitment to downtown Dothan. The purchase of this facility will continue to enhance the northern part of downtown. 5-star will now build a branch on the lot behind us that we purchased. You heard in that resolution, they will temporarily lease from us once the property is closed, the branch that is in the building until they build a new branch on the what was called the Porter, I'm calling the Porter property. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but they will build a new branch on that property. It will be part of the northern gateway, if you will, to downtown Dothan. The continued growth of and enhancement of downtown is extremely important to this commission. I think extremely important to our community. This helps that continued effort. Because of what's going to happen, and Jamie is here, I'm going to ask her to make some comments in a minute, but because of property exchange, we're going to enhance some other things that are going to be happening down here. The farmers market, which contributes to agriculture, which you all know is important to all of us. And okay, Doug's not here to talk about it, but I know important to him, particularly since he's in that arena. It's gonna allow potentially for some additional retail growth and just expand security on this end of downtown. Just really a good thing for continued downtown growth. Frankly, even if the sheriff wasn't gonna locate there, I think it makes sense for the county to purchase that building with Five Star moving out. Regardless, it just happens to be that the sheriff's department needs a good location and this building fits. There has been some conversation about, well, you know, we don't need to do this, we need to move out to the farm center and occupy those buildings, put the sheriff's department out there. Well, first of all, as I said, we are committed to downtown. Let's make no mistake about that. Secondly, there's not a building at the farm center that is occupiable by the sheriff's department. We would have to build something out there. And as I said, the number I think is about $5 million to build a facility. And we would be out at the farm center, which I don't think is what we want to do. And that doesn't include the demolition that would need to occur. We looked one time at getting that arena building set up as a new arena, and it was $6 million time you added on to it. So that just wasn't a good alternative. I mean, it sounds good, we've got all that space, but it's really not a good answer, and particularly when we are committed. So I will say, you know, our procedures are that we asked people to submit comments. We did get one comment about our meeting procedures, and I'm not going to get into that deeply. The numbers on COVID are getting better, and it is our hope and desire that we go back to our normal procedures starting in April. That is our desire, unless things get worse. But this is the best we can do right now. We have to continue operating in the county. We have got, you know, we present the concerns that people have when they submit them, and but we have to continue operating. We've been working on this project for, you know, over a year, and have made a lot of positive steps. And I appreciate the commission and Barkley and Peter and the sheriff's department and everybody, Jamie and everybody, DDRA, and sorry, everybody involved with making this happen, because I think it is a red letter day for the county and downtown to make this happen. So with that, I will hush and ask for any comments from the commission, and then we'll ask Ms. Deanna to comment on behalf of the DDRA. Yes, sir. Mr. Sheep.
I had a few people reach out to their concerns about us spending rate, which is, that's always appreciated. And I understand anytime you're going to make a sizable purchase like this, in millions of dollars range, you know, people pay attention, like attention and encourage that there are still people, you know, that do pay attention to things that are going on in the county. You know, I ran as a fiscal conservative, and I'm sure that the sheriff's department, I'm not going to speak for them, but I'm sure they would love to have a brand new $5 million facility, but that's just not within our financial reality. We can do $2.2 million, and that money's going to be paid out of 15 years, so that's doable. And like you said, Mr. Chairman, whether the sheriff's department's going to live there or not, we really need to own that building. I know y'all, I say that this commission had a chance to buy that building years and years ago, and it's significantly higher now. Were we to not buy this building now, 10, 15 years from now, when we really had to have that building, it would be $6 to $10 million. That's what we would be talking about. And the amount of square foot that the new sheriff's department is going to have, we will last them for many, many years. Probably by the time they outgrow that, all of us will, I would say, not be here anymore. So anyway, so I'm excited about this. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. It saves the county money. I know the sheriff's department has been asking for their headquarters. I believe their current headquarters was built in like 1926. I think I saw that this morning. So this has been a long time coming. This is not something that I think we just decided one day, let's go, you know, spend a lot of money and set up a new office for the sheriff. This has been needed for a long time. You know, if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it. And this solves a lot of problems and it saves a lot of money. So it's the most efficient way to do it. And with that not the case, I can tell you, I'll be the first one to stand up and say so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments?
We certainly have been deliberating over this for at least a good year now or more. I think it is a great decision that we're making. And as Mark said, we are committed to downtown. I did have a few calls from concerned citizens, great conversations with them, though it wasn't a bad conversation. There are some people that want to know how we're spending money, and it has to make sense. And it makes sense not to spend 5.6 million or $6 million when we spent 2.2. Of course, we should have, I think we should have got it way back. I think that was wildly back then.
It was.
Who knows what position we'll be in now. But great decision. I think the sheriff's office will definitely benefit from it. I think they're happy about it. Not only are we just in that building, but we're getting about, I think, 50 or 55 secured spaces for their fleet. So just a good all-around project for everybody. I know people are concerned. One citizen asked me, she asked me about what about the roads dirt roads. I told her one thing is for sure, they will always be there. And that's for sure, even after we leave, we'll still have those same problems. And what we do as a commission, we try to make the very best decisions that we can while we are here, while we're present. Thank you, folks.
Anyone else? Good. Yeah, two things y'all reminded me of. One, I think spending $2 million on this building as opposed to $5 million on a new building, because the sheriff's department wasn't going to go away. I mean, they were going to continue to ask us for a new facility. That frees up $3 million that we can spend on roads, if you look at it that way. The other thing is, I did want to commend the sheriff for, I know he, on social media this morning, he put a endorsement of this project and certainly is in favor of it. And we appreciate that. I did want to ask the director of the DDRA, again, that it come forward and just make some comments about this project. And it's, again, we look at it as a building for the, a building for the sheriff's department, but it really, and I hope everybody gets the gist of it from reading the proclamation and the discussion, that it's really more than just buying a building for the sheriff's department. So, Jamie, you can take the mask off while you're talking. Pull that microphone up. Thank you.
I guess, great. Yes, it absolutely is bigger than just a building and the relocation of the sheriff's department. I, appreciate and absolutely can't say thank you enough to the commission's support of downtown. I think we've had studies beyond studies, not just from our entity, showing that we need to bring the central business district more concentrated back down to downtown. We focus so much on the outside of the circle. And so with that being said, this particular property is on the key gateway into downtown. It is one of the highest traffic counts in the city as far as pass through traffic to and from the beach is probably a big part of that pass through traffic. But we swell during the day, and so a large portion of that traffic that comes is right in that key gateway. I'm so happy to see that blue building gone, so I appreciate you guys tearing that down, and excited about the opportunity to keep 5-star downtown. Again, it's not, we recognize the sheriff needs a new building, but we need to keep 5-star downtown. They are one of the only banks downtown and they cater to the local surrounding communities within walking distance of the downtown location. So if they were to vacate, we would lose that community connection with the local surrounding communities who bank locally with 5-star. I mean, if you're in there on a regular basis, you see local neighborhood people coming in and out. They're familiar with the bank tellers. They do their business there. So it's important that we keep and retain 5-star downtown as a banking branch. On the other side of that, it's going to tremendously clean up that whole gateway. The city is going to be doing their part to improve the infrastructure along that gateway to accommodate 5-star's growth. and paving the road, cleaning up the sidewalk location. So that's going to be huge just to the aesthetic improvement and the message we send to travelers as they do come through Denton. On the backside of this, it's also going to help the future farmers market that we plan. You know, I understand that the farm center, you know, there's a desire to have more traffic there, but the reason the farmers market is so instrumental in this particular location, which will be right off the backside of this 5-star property, and onto some of the sections of the green space that's next door to it, is that the farmers market that we currently house feeds the local neighborhood also. Moving it to this particular location will feed the local neighborhoods, which actually has a food desert when you look at local produce and fresh foods that are available. There's within walking distance of the local communities. So that's a major reason that we even selected that site and that location for the farmers market. Now, I know we don't have much farmland within our city district, our city limits. So we are partnering, and all of our farmers that come to our market are in the county and outside of the county probably, but particularly inside the county city limits. We don't have any city farmers that I know of that sell at our market. So we're bringing those county farmers into our city district. That's also being able to feed with local produce the urban residential areas that we have, and that's super important. Grocery stores with local produce are limited in the area, and so this is a particular area that has, within a 5-block area, there's no area to get local and fresh produce. So we feel it's really important. We did our homework in selecting the site for that reason. And then it's also going to provide a commercial kitchen for those farmers where they can help reduce some of their loss in their product. So at the end of season loss, instead of going out and just wasting or having that waste, they can go and use the canning kitchen to use to capture some of their product and turn it around for resale. So it's really important for us. It is bigger than just a building. It's going to really revitalize the whole city block, which is obviously important to the revitalization of downtown. But it's also going to continue and further support our local ag industry by providing that farmers market site.
Thank you for that. Any questions for Dan before she goes away? Thank you for that. And that is, I think all those points are so important. I mean, it is certainly a location for the sheriff's department, and but I think it is a community investment, and I think we believe a good one, or we wouldn't be making this decision. Any other comments from the commission? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 6 is a request to sell on gov deals a 2003 Ford Explorer and miscellaneous office supplies from probate department and miscellaneous office equipment from Road and Bridge. Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Harry. Second by Commissioner Shute. Comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Staff reports. Chief Administrative Officer.
No reports.
Mr. County Engineer. You don't have to be rushed today. We're beyond 4 minutes.
We have 7 closed roads: Middleton, Gilmore, Cecil Varnum, Pleasant Grove, Coot Adams, Glen Lawrence, and Peterman.
Mr. Council. I got a message, I don't remember if it was Facebook or an email about Middleton. Do you know timing on that one?
They probably within about the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Lake pipe, they've got one head wall on, they're in the process of building the other head wall, and I can bring the field up, pave it, so.
All right, good.
Um,
I'll pass that.
Pipe's in, it's just being, now we gotta finish the head wall.
So I tell them within 3 weeks, I won't be,
Should be all right, yes, sir.
as long as it doesn't rain.
Yeah, right.
And we've had that already. so
We have.
All right, any other questions for the staff? All right. Then we will see you all in a couple of weeks or so. And again, I thank you for your vision on this. I know it's odd times we are operating under, and It's unfortunate that we don't have our normal procedures.
Came back from a search.
Did I say Siri? I must have said Siri. But hopefully we'll have that soon and be back under normal operations. But thank you all for your vision on this, and thanks to all of you that participated in it. We stand in adjournment. I just figured he was here. You're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where'd Jackie Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
You need me? Yes, sir. I'm trying to push you more. Okay, that's cool. It's hard.
Mhm.
I got something else on you.